The importance of keeping and maintaining a well-equipped get-home bag in your vehicle cannot be overstated. If you're faced with a sudden situation which forces you to abandon your vehicle and get home on foot, are you prepared to do that? In this video, we will discuss the things that I keep in my get-home bag and why. Stick around. Like many Americans, I live somewhere between the city and more rural areas, and I commute to work and meetings by car. My travels usually take me at most maybe 25 miles from home, but more often they're only around 10. And if I'm suddenly faced with an unexpected impediment, such as some type of civil unrest or a peaceful protest, or even a natural disaster which forces me to leave my vehicle and walk home, I have a get-home bag. Now, my get-home bag and a few other items that I keep in my vehicle are designed to sustain me for the journey home, which would probably take between 10 and 24 hours to complete. And like in any emergency, we have to think about the things that will be necessary for us to survive. Those items usually include food and water, shelter from the elements, first aid and medical care, and self-defense. Now, my get-home bag is designed with those needs in mind. Also, in addition to the items that I keep in the get-home bag, as well as things that I always keep in my vehicle, I have things that I carry with me every day. You can see a complete breakdown of my everyday carry items in our previous EDC video. And these items, together with the items in my get-home bag and vehicle, are intended to be layered together. So before we get to the bag, here are a few things that I keep in my vehicle at all times. Now, these items will most likely cover any kind of weather that I'm going to be dealing with. And if it's really cold out, I'm already going to be wearing a heavy overcoat or winter coat. So in my trunk, I keep a packing cube. And in the packing cube, I have a set of underwear, wool socks, a t-shirt, a pair of pants, a belt, a hooded sweatshirt, long sleeve t-shirt, a fleece jacket, and I also keep a rain jacket. This is a fleece-lined rain jacket, as it were. Those items are always in my trunk. The other thing that I keep in the trunk at all times is a pair of hiking boots. Now, what I do is every time I buy a new pair of hiking boots, and I wear hiking boots almost every day, I put the old pair into my trunk. You don't want to be walking any serious distance in new boots. Do yourself a favor. Keep a pair of broken-in boots in your vehicle. Before we talk about the bag, I want to make a little disclaimer. All of the items that we're going to discuss in the remainder of this video, I purchased with my own money. I have no affiliation whatsoever to the manufacturers of any of these items. The reason that I chose these specific items is based on my experience and based on the fact that they work. So let's talk about the bag first. This is a Vertex Ready Pack 2.0. It's a very well-made knapsack. It doesn't look tactical or military. It doesn't have MOLLE webbing all over it. It looks like an ordinary book bag, and it has some nice features that we're going to go over, which makes it particularly suited for this purpose. Now, the things that I keep in my bag are things that I feel I would likely need, given where I work, where I live, and the places that I typically go every day. I may have mentioned previously I live in the People's Republic of New Yorkistan. I live outside of New York City, but sometimes my work takes me into New York City. Other times it takes me into more rural areas. Now, when I'm on vacation with my family, I have a completely different type of bag, and everyone carries their own gear, so the load is spread out over a number of people. But we have everything that we might need in an emergency in that situation. But this is things that I would keep in my vehicle that I drive around with locally and in my, the general tri-state area. All right, so before we talk about the contents, let's talk a little bit about the exterior of the bag. Like I said, looks like an ordinary book bag. I don't keep any morale patches or anything else. I want to stay as low-key as possible. So on either side of the bag, there are pockets. You can keep, small pieces of gear in here, and you can cinch it down with the bungee cords. I keep water bottles. On one side, I have a metal water bottle. This is a single-walled water bottle. It's not a, thermosy or insulated water bottle. You can boil water in this. You can't boil water in the other kind. And on the other side, I have a Nalgene bottle. This is a 32-ounce bottle. Between these two bottles, I believe this bottle is also 32 ounces, so that's 64 ounces of water, and we'll get to it inside, but I also keep a Camelback inside. In my trunk, in the trunk of my vehicle, I always have a gallon bottle of water that's full. So more likely than not, I would fill up these water bottles before embarking. Also on the exterior of the pack, I have a light. It gives you a steady light, quick strobe, and then a shorter strobe. Sometimes you don't want to be seen, but sometimes you do. So that light is an option just in case. And also on the exterior, I keep with, on one of the zippers, on a quick release, one of these magnetic quick release doohickeys, I keep a whistle. This is a very, very, very loud emergency whistle. It's made for backpacking, mountain climbing, things like that. I'm not going to blow it now because I'll upset everybody else in the house, but it's extremely loud. And I keep it on this little magnetic thing so that it's easily accessible. That's basically on the exterior of the pack. Let's talk about the interior. First thing is, in the event that I suffer some kind of an injury that needs immediate attention, on the exterior of the pack, or rather in the first main pocket on the outside, I keep a tourniquet. Now what I do is I stage the zippers so that you just have to grab one zipper and yank it one way, and then basically your whole pocket is open without spilling everything out. If sometimes people like to stage zippers both in the middle, that looks very nice, but the problem then is that you have to open both sides. I got this tip from, I think, a guy named City Prepper. I'll check and we'll put a link in the description or maybe in the video. In any event, on the top of this pocket section, I keep a cat tourniquet. We did a video on cat tourniquets. I'll put a card above. I strongly urge everybody to purchase one of these tourniquets. They're not expensive, although you need to buy a quality one. Don't buy a knockoff. We typically recommend American Rescue, but there are some other companies that also make a quality product. But don't buy one if the price is too good. They run around $30, maybe $35, something like that. Most studies have shown that in a major bleeding injury, most wounds are survivable. Gunshot wounds, puncture wounds, stab wounds, things like that, they're survivable. The problem is that people typically bleed to death before they can get to help. So in the event that there is some, major catastrophic situation going on, and there is a major injury or a serious bleed on an extremity, you need a tourniquet. This can easily save your life, and it's important to have it readily accessible. You don't want to have to go digging for it. All right. So in that pocket, in addition to the tourniquet, I also have sealed in shrink wrap so that it doesn't get wet, and I take it out if I need it. This is an AM/FM radio. I have batteries and headphones for it. It's also one of those weather warning radios. It's a good idea. If there's a grid down situation, if there's a semi-grid down situation, you still might be able to get information with one of these. It's extremely lightweight and it's worth carrying. And also, this particular radio, I don't think I paid $20 for it. So it's a good idea, a little bit of insurance. Next thing I keep is a headlamp. It's in a plastic bag, but here we go. This headlamp has a couple of different features. First of all, one thing I like about it is once you strap it onto your head, it is adjustable, so you can aim it down, you can aim it up. It's got a regular steady stream. It's got 3 different settings of stream, a strobe, and then if you hold it down, it's got a red lens. The importance of a red lens, it's also got a red lens blinker and a strobe. The importance of a red lens is in the event that you don't want to be seen, but you need to read a map or something else, red lens is going to be a lot less visible from a distance. So it's just a nice feature. So headlamp. Next item, pair of medic shears. You never know when you need to cut through clothing. You need to cut through something tough. If there's an injury on a, high up on your arm or leg, or somebody else, you're going to need to cut away something. So I keep a pair of shears. It's always a good idea to have a strong pair of scissors anyway, in any event. So pair of medical shears. I have a flashlight. Dedicated flashlight is extremely important to have. I know a lot of people say, well, I have a light on my phone. You got a light on your head now. It's important to have a handheld flashlight. I keep a flashlight. There's also a Leatherman. This actually isn't the Leatherman tool. I'm sorry about that. This is the Gerber suspension tool. It's excellent. One of the features I really like about it is that besides the fact that it's a nice heavy-duty pair of pliers, which helps in lots of situations you might not think about, where you might need a pair of pliers. If you need to pull something out of a fire, if you need to, pry something open, other than obviously the other things that you would use the pliers for, which is, loosen and tighten bolts and whatnot. One of the things that's really nice about this is that the tools, in addition to the pliers, this is a locking set. So basically, when it's open, it locks open. It won't close accidentally on you. And then there's a little lock on the side that you use to close the tool. A lot of multi-tools don't have that feature. This one does. They're very, very well made. And I have these Gerbers in most of my kits. So the Gerber suspension. Next item I keep is an additional magazine for my Glock 19. In my everyday carry video, I mentioned that I carry a Glock 19 on a regular basis. I only carry one spare magazine, but if there's some sort of situation, I'd like to have at least one additional magazine. So that brings us up to 3. So I've got a Glock magazine. I have an MRE spoon in a plastic. It's always a good idea to have a spoon. If you're able to eat and you only have your fingers, it's not hygienic, and it certainly is not comfortable. So spoons also serve a lot of other purposes besides just eating. If you need to build a survival fire, you can use these spoons as tinder. They're fantastic if you want to get wet wood started. Light the spoon end, stick the handle end in the ground, and build your fire around it. This will burn for like 10 minutes. It's very hot. It's difficult to put it out once you light it, so be careful. And it is burning plastic, so you don't want to cook over it. And you definitely don't want to inhale these fumes. You don't want to do it inside if you can avoid it. But that's one of those little hacks for an MRE spoon. I keep a Bic Lighter. Fire, very important. The ability to start fire has been enjoyed by mankind for some time now. It's always a good idea to have a lighter, so I keep a Bic Lighter. This is pepper spray, or actually more aptly named. Actually, no, this is pepper gel. Usually the larger containers are named bear spray because pepper gel is sometimes a no-no depending on where you are. This is made by Sabre. I like the gel instead of the spray because it's less likely to come back at you in the wind. If you've ever sprayed pepper spray or been sprayed with pepper spray, it's extremely unpleasant. And if you're using it on somebody else in a self-defense situation, you don't want to get a hit of this yourself. So use gel instead of spray. That's just my opinion. And it comes in a little case which I can strap onto my belt in the event that I think that there's, things are difficult and whatever. I also keep a monocular. This is a 10 times, it's 10 by 25. It's an inexpensive monocular, but it does the job. It's a good idea to be able to see at a distance. If you see a large crowd of people, you don't necessarily know if they're friendly or not. You don't want to get too close to them to find out. A little bit of intel, very important, especially under the circumstances that you might be dealing with. So a monocular. Pen and a Sharpie. These are for writing things, a pen and a Sharpie. Next item I keep is this is also in a plastic bag. This is a smoke effect rapid release grenade. I'll take it out of the bag. This is something that I guess might be a little bit unexpected, but I think it's a good idea in the event that you are trying to run away from something or someone, and you need a little bit of camouflage or a little bit of a distraction. This only weighs a few ounces, costs a few dollars, and it could save your life. You yank the cap off and you will get, I think, 90 seconds of thick black smoke that will pour out of both ends of this, which will, certainly give you cover if you need to run and, you need to camouflage yourself or camouflage where you're going when you're running away. So, smoke bomb. Next thing I keep in the front is a life straw. Life straw is a good idea in the event that you do run out of water and you don't have access to clean water. These are fantastic. They're very lightweight. They're very inexpensive. And all you do is you basically take the cap off of one end, you open up the other end, and then you stick the business end, I suppose, into your water source, which can be anything, a stream, a creek, a puddle of water in Midtown Manhattan. It doesn't matter. The life straw will filter out any kind of pathogens, toxins, or whatnot. So I recommend some method to clean and purify water. If you don't have clean water, don't drink dirty water. Life straw. As we get further down into the pack, the next item is just some energy bars. These are protein bars. They're made by a company called No Cow. I'm a vegan. I know that sounds weird, but these are vegan protein bars. I keep a few of them. They're roughly 200 calories each. That's 600 calories. And one thing that's really nice about these is they're great for backpacking or hiking. They're low residue, which means that they're not going to pass through your system and then you're going to have to, vacate your bowels anytime soon. They're very low residue. You're going to burn up pretty much everything that's in here. So a few protein bars. Next item I have is a small fire kit. I'm not going to take the whole thing apart. Suffice it to say, I keep another Zippo, piece of folded up aluminum foil. If you've ever tried to start a fire under wet conditions, you know that if you have something to put, your tinder onto, it makes a big difference. I also have some lifeboat matches or hurricane matches, and a few alcohol prep pads for tinder also. Alcohol prep pads are fantastic tinder. They light immediately, and it's something you already have in your house. It's not something that most people think about. So small fire kit in the event that I have to make a fire. Next item is some more food. This is a few MRE mains and a couple of sides that I stripped out of regular MREs and stuck in a Ziploc bag. I also have a couple of flameless ration heaters and a spork. The nice thing about MREs, number one, is that I don't have to worry that my bag is sitting in my trunk all year round. They can be stored under harsh conditions and still be, edible. They have about a 5-year shelf life, which is nice, and you can eat them hot or cold. So it doesn't matter, if you're on the move or if you're able to stop. You do need some sustenance, and they're highly caloric and also low residue. A lot of people in the military will tell you that they cause some serious constipation. I've experienced that myself. I'd rather be constipated and walk home than have the runs and walk home. So, MREs, and that's it for the front pocket. The other front pocket, or the smaller front pocket, the utility pocket, I keep a small bag with some chewing gum and a packet of candies. These are Charms. It's a good idea to have hard candy and some chewing gum. It helps, with thirst. It helps with morale. I like gum and candy, so I keep some gum and candy. I also keep a bandana. The uses for bandanas are endless. If you have a situation where you're trying to escape from some kind of natural disaster, a wildfire, or if there's smoke in the air for whatever reason, bandana is a great idea. We all, a lot of people stopped carrying masks now, thankfully, now that the COVID situation has passed, apparently. So it's a good idea to have some kind of face protection. After 9/11, you may have seen a lot of videos and photos of people covered in dust. Ash, and other kinds of things, and who knows where that ash and dust came from. So good idea to have a bandana. You can also use it for lots and lots of other reasons. So bandana. I keep a ordinary household kitchen garbage bag that I just have a rubber band around. It's a good idea to have a bag. This is not really so much for carrying things, but maybe if you need some protection. I also keep a large heavy-duty contractor's bag inside. We'll get that in a second. But here's a kitchen trash bag. Weighs very little, has a lot of uses. Keep a little bit of cordage. This is tarred bank line. It's about 15 feet of tarred bank line. You can use it for tons of different things. If you need to secure something to the back of your pack, if you want to tie something up, if you break a shoelace and you're walking, here's your replacement. So tarred bank line. Next item is a pack of grinds. What these are is they're, instead of dip, these are coffee pouches. And this one's sealed, but I have an open one here. And basically what they are is it's a veteran-owned company. This guy started this company with his wife and daughter, my understanding is in his basement or his garage. And basically what they are is they're small packets that are essentially made of kind of like coffee filter material. It's a little more sturdy. And inside it has ground coffee and some kind of a sweetener. I think it's honey, but I'm not 100% sure. Glucolactone. I don't know what that is. Anyway, there's only a couple of ingredients. You pop one of these between your teeth, between your lip and your gum, just like you would a skull or any kind of dip. And you have a cup of coffee in your mouth. It lasts about 15 minutes. You get a nice caffeine hit immediately, and it lasts the whole time. It also tastes fantastic. They have a lot of different flavors. I really like these. I like the black coffee because it's extremely strong. And if you like coffee and you're walking, you're probably not going to pass a Starbucks. And if you are, I don't know that they're open. So I recommend these. I have no affiliation with these people at all, but check them out. It's a fantastic product anyway. So grinds. Next item I keep is a couple of hot hand warmers. If it's really cold outside, it's a good idea. You can stick these in your boots. You can put them in your gloves. You can just hold them in your hands. I keep 6 of them. They don't last for an enormous amount of time, but they last long enough to do the job. And they become hot instantly upon exposure to air. So I keep them double wrapped, so hot hands. I also keep in one of these ubiquitous masks. It's an N95 mask. Regardless of whether you're trying to escape the dreaded coronavirus or some kind of other, pathogen or pollutant in the air, depending on the circumstance, a mask isn't a terrible idea. The other thing is that people won't look at you funny these days if you're wearing a mask and just walking along the street. So you got a mask. Next item is a power bank. I carry a cell phone. I carry headphones that need to be charged. Both of those things can be charged by my power bank. This is I think it's a 10,000 milliamp. Yes, it's 10,000 milliamps, and it's a fast charging power bank. So this will charge your typical smartphone, iPhone or Android or whatever, I think 5 or 7 times. In a grid down situation, your phone might be useless. But if you're able to stay in touch with your family and friends and also get news and things like that, it's a great idea to have more juice, especially if you might be stuck for, more than a short amount of time. I also keep a pair of wireless earbuds in here. It's a good idea to keep an earbud in if you're talking rather than having a, cord dangling. Sometimes you want to stay low key. So that's my electronic support. Plus I have cords for both in here. Next item are batteries. I have backup batteries for my flashlight. I have backup batteries for my headlamp. If your flashlight goes out or your headlamp goes out, it's useless. So backup batteries, very important. Next item I keep is a mirror. This is a plastic camping mirror. It weighs almost nothing. It's, I don't know that it's indestructible, but it's not easy to break. I keep it because in case you have an injury on your face or on your back or, some part of your body that you can't see, it's not a bad idea to have a mirror. And I know a lot of people say, well, you have the mirror feature on your phone. If your phone's not working or you don't want to run down the battery, this weighs a few grams. It's a good idea to have it. I just have a little piece of bank line on the end that is not permanently secured. It's just a loop that you can just throw through. And this way you can hang it on something or whatever. It just makes it easier to handle. It's also not a terrible idea if you need to look around corners or a signal or for whatever other reason. I keep a small mirror. Next item is a small notepad. This is actually one of these Post-it notepads. A sticky note, if you need to leave a note for something, this provides you with, an adhesive so that you can stick it to something. It's not the best adhesive in the world, but it usually does the job, so small notepad. Next item is some cash. In the event that you're in an urban environment and there are stores that are open, but the grid is down, there is no electricity, or maybe it's like some kind of internet thing or whatever where they're not taking credit cards because the credit card machines are not working. It's a good idea to have some cash. I have a couple of $100 in small bills and about $3 in quarters in the event that, you see a payphone or a vending machine or whatever. It's not a bad idea. So a little bit of cash. Next item is a pack of tissues. A pack of tissues can be used to blow your nose, wipe your face, wipe other parts of your body. Pack of tissues weighs almost nothing. It's a great idea to keep. Pack of tissues. Next item is a little bit of duct tape. This is pre-packaged. I think it's like 20 feet or 25 feet of duct tape. This is actually Gorilla Tape. It's duct tape has gazillion uses, extremely useful, can save your life in various situations. You can use it as a fuel extender. You can use it for its intended purpose to tape things up. You can use it to tape somebody's mouth shut if they're making too much noise. I'm only joking about that. So a little bit of duct tape. And the last item is it's a small pack that I keep a couple of different packs in. One of the small packs is a bathroom kit. I keep a little bit of toilet paper in here. These are toilet paper packs out of MREs. I keep a few of these wash-ups. It's basically hand sanitizer that's in a packet. You can just tear it open. It's just the liquid and you just squeeze it out. It's also a great fire extender. I keep a few dude wipes in here and a couple of towels that are compressed that can instantly open up with a little bit of water. So in the event that you do have to make a pit stop, gentlemen, if you have to urinate, it's really not a big deal. But if you have to, take a dump somewhere, it's a great idea to have a cleanup kit with you. So little bathroom kit. Next item in the sustenance pouch is some glucose tablets. Thankfully, I am not diabetic. However, these are fantastic for giving you a quick hit of energy. If you're walking for a great distance, your blood sugar sometimes drops, or for whatever reason, you're obviously, you're not in a great mood, you're in an excitable situation. That's one of the things that happens physiologically. So I keep a thing of glucose tablets. You can get them in any drugstore. They have a pretty long shelf life, and it's instant, some instant energy. So glucose tabs. Also, if you're with somebody who is diabetic, glucose tabs. I keep a packet of gas relief tablets. Again, in a stressful situation, this is simethicone. It's, these are the chewable tablets. If you have an upset stomach or for whatever reason, you're just very anxious, chew a couple of those and, the upset stomach goes away. Last thing that I keep in this, actually second to last thing I keep in this bag is a boo-boo kit. We have a separate video on our boo-boo kit. I'll post a card up above. The boo-boo kit covers all manner of minor injuries, scrapes, cuts, stings, bites, splinters, and blisters. So it's a good idea to have a boo-boo kit, especially if you're going to be walking for a distance. These types of things happen, and boo-boo kit's important. So it's important to have some basic first aid. And the last thing I keep in here is a small container with medicine for me. I take a couple of different kinds of medicine. I'm getting older, so it's important if you take medicine on a regular basis to have a supply of that medicine with you. This will sustain me for 72 hours. It's only a few pills. It's a big container, but I keep some, there's just some paper towel stuff in the top, and there's one of those oxygen absorbers inside. So that the medicine doesn't go bad, and they're inside a plastic bag as well. The container is more to keep it from getting crushed than anything else. But like I said, if you keep medicine, very important to keep, I recommend 72 hours worth of medicine in your get-home bag. And that's the contents of the self-sustainment accessory pouch. Now we get to the main compartment. Take out the bottles. So I keep a carabiner on this zipper pull. This is an inexpensive carabiner. I don't even know who makes it. I probably got this one for free with something. But the carabiners I usually buy are much heavier, the mountain climbing type. But this is, it's good to be able to just hang extra stuff off the bag or for whatever reason. And plus, it makes a nice zipper pull. So the main compartment, right on top, I keep a trauma kit. This trauma kit contains an Israeli bandage. It contains some hemostatic dressing, compressed gauze, a pair of gloves, a couple of chest seals, and a few other items. I think I have an emergency blanket in here and something else. If you want, I will do a complete video on the trauma kit, but this will deal with almost any major injury. It'll stabilize whoever you have to, apply it to. Hopefully it's not you. But this will take care of the things that your tourniquet won't necessarily. A chest injury, a tourniquet's not going to work. An above the neck injury, you're not going to use a tourniquet. Things like that. Higher than your hip, once you're in a mid joint area, you can't use a tourniquet. So Israeli bandage, compression bandages, and things like that are a much better alternative. We're also going to do a video at some point in the future on the use of an Israeli bandage, so stay tuned for that. So trauma kit. Next item in the main compartment is a wristwatch. I usually wear a wristwatch. Not wearing one now because I'm in the house. The wristwatch that I wear is a little bit on the expensive side. So in the event that, I want to swap it out and just put it away, I put this one on. This is a Casio. It is, it's luminous dials. The numbers are luminous. It lights up. It's an inexpensive watch. It's probably going to last me 10 years before I have to change the battery. So I think I paid maybe $10 for it. You throw it in the bag. It's an important thing to have, a wristwatch. Next item is a pair of gloves. So first of all, anytime you're dealing with any situation where you might be handling something that is, splintery or hot or extremely cold, or you're just moving something that you don't necessarily want to touch not necessarily for hygienic reasons, but for other reasons, it's a good idea to have a pair of gloves. If it's very cold outside, I'm already going to have gloves. But one of the things that I like about these gloves is that they have the knuckle protection and the finger protection. In the event that there's a physical altercation or whatever, these are a force multiplier, plus they protect your hands. So, pair of gloves. Next item is a pair of goggles. Like I said before, September 11th, we saw, ash, dust, and smoke in the air for days. If you're dealing with a natural disaster, wildfire, hurricane, tornado, whatever, not a bad idea to have eye protection. Even if you wear glasses, your eye protection with glasses is great, but it's limited. So this is not a bad idea. These are vented so they won't fog up. Also, again, these are maybe 10, 15 bucks at a Home Depot. They weigh very little. They don't take up much space in the pack, and they can be a real lifesaver. Plus, in the event that you wear eyeglasses, make sure that you have a set that fit over your eyeglasses so that you can see while you're able to see. So, safety goggles. Next item is some earplugs. I keep a couple of pairs of earplugs in here. These are, regular shooting earplugs. In the event that you're dealing with very loud noises for whatever reason, not a bad idea to have the earplugs. If you're trying to get some sleep, not a bad idea to have the earplugs, especially if someone else is standing watch and you don't really need to be that alert. In a situation where you're dealing with very high decibels, you don't want to suffer hearing loss, and in addition, obviously, it's extremely uncomfortable. So, a couple of pairs of earplugs. They're inexpensive, weigh almost nothing, can make a big difference. The next item is a shemagh. If you're not familiar with a shemagh, it's basically a large piece of cloth. They're very, very popular in Middle Eastern countries, in some African areas, in deserts. You can use it to protect your face. You can use it as a scarf. You can use it to filter water. You can use it as a makeshift sling. There are endless uses to a shemagh. It's a great idea to have protection from the elements and whatnot. Use it as a sleeping mat even. I mean, this one, I don't think this would be big enough for me, but there are quite a few uses, and it's a very, very lightweight item. So I keep a shemagh in the get-home bag. Couple of light sticks. These are those Calium light sticks. Crack them open. They give you light. These are both high-intensity light sticks, and these say they last for 12 hours. I'll see that when I believe it. You can probably rely on them for 6 then. So, a couple of light sticks. Next item is a life tent. If you're familiar with the life tent, this is basically it's a single-use tent. I mean, I wouldn't use this on a regular basis, but it comes with some bank line, guy lines, and a couple of carabiners, and it takes really only a few seconds to set up. If you have to get out of the elements and you need some kind of shelter, it's an excellent emergency shelter. It also comes with a little whistle on the end. This whistle is not particularly impressive. The whistle that I have on the outside of the bag is much better, but it's there. Also a little bit of paracord, which is nice. You can use that for Tinder if you need to, although this is really a short-term situation. I don't think, with everything else, that you're going to have to start cutting up paracord. But a life tent. It's a great idea for makeshift shelter. Very, very lightweight, very inexpensive, and these are extremely versatile. So I keep that. Next item along those lines is a tack bivy. This is basically just a sleeping bag. You can use it for a lot of other purposes. You can use it as sort of like a papoose. You can wrap somebody up in it. But basically, again, it's a single use or, 1 or 2 times use sleeping bag. It's basically a giant space blanket. So it's very well insulated. You can also use it as a wind stop if you rig it up, or I guess as a shelter if you open it up and you string it up overhead. But also weighs very, very little, and it can definitely make a big difference in a survival situation. So I got the tack bivy. Next item is some cordage. This is typical paracord. It's about, this is I think 50 feet. Actually, this is 100 feet. It's, this particular company is Warrior Cord, but it's 550 paracord. It's the military style with the numerous different types of cord within the exterior filament, or actually within the exterior sleeve. Inside, you have a bunch of different kinds of cordage, in addition to, there's also some copper wire in here, which is nice. So, some cordage. Next item, as I mentioned before, is a contractor's bag. I keep 2 of these inside. This is those 55-gallon contractor's bags. These are the very heavy-duty ones. You're not going to find these in a typical supermarket, but if you go to a big box store, you can buy them in bulk. And they're very, very versatile. You can, punch a couple of holes in them and you have a poncho. Lay it out on the wet ground and you have someplace to sit, despite the fact that the ground is wet. You can obviously fill it with things to carry if you need to. You can use it to transport water if you need to. You can fill it up with leaves and other debris and make a makeshift mattress. The uses are endless. So I have a couple of these. Next item is a pair of socks. I know I mentioned earlier that I have the other socks in the packing cube, but I keep a pair of socks stuffed in the bottom of the bag as well. If your feet get wet, it can be miserable, especially if it's cold outside. So it's always a good idea to have at least 1 or 2 extra pairs of socks, especially if you're going to have to walk a long distance. So socks. And the final item in the back is a CamelBak. Like I mentioned before, I don't keep, actually there are 2 more items. I don't keep the CamelBak hose run through the bag all the time. In the event that I'm going to use the CamelBak, I'll run the hose through. I prefer to keep it a little bit more low key. If I'm walking and, I for whatever reason, I have the bottles inside, if I'm running low on water, if I don't want anybody to know that I have the additional water, sometimes, it's necessary but harsh to say no to people who are in need. If you need what you have more, if you need that to get home to your family, your needs come first. It's very nice to be altruistic, help people out. I'm all for it. Half the stuff in here is really geared to help somebody else. I hope that I don't get shot. I hope that I don't have a serious injury. But at the same time, I'm going to do what I need to do to get home to my family, and you should do the same. So I keep the CamelBak secured inside the bag without the the hose outside, unless I decide that that's appropriate. The next item in the main compartment is a couple of zip ties. I have assorted sizes from very small to very large. Zip ties have also an enormous number of uses. You can use them to secure things, to repair things. You can use them for, in the event that you need to detain somebody. I can't imagine why you would, but if you had to, you can use them as improvised flex cuffs. They're fantastic. So a few zip ties, they also weigh next to nothing, and they can be a lifesaver in the event that you need to use them. And the last couple of items on the inside of the pack are here we go. We'll do this first. I have a compass. Even though I am typically in an urban environment and it's usually easy to tell what direction you're going, sometimes you do get turned around. If you're walking along the highway, even though it's a northbound highway, that section of the highway is not necessarily going north. If you want to divert off the highway or whatever, or if you need to, and here's the next item, if you need to read one of these, a map. I know a lot of people are not, too familiar with these, but it's important to keep a map of your area and wherever it is that you're going. This map covers New York City and the surrounding areas. Like I mentioned, that's where I typically go during the day. If your phone is not working and, Waze isn't working and Google Maps isn't working and your GPS isn't working, let's, go back to the old-fashioned foldable map. You can get these for free from AAA. They're also available, some gas stations still carry them. Lots of places like Walmart or CVS carry these, and you can probably find them on the internet. But it's important to have a map and a compass. Next item is a vest. This is one of these, construction type vests, a safety vest. I keep this in my bag for a couple of reasons. Sometimes, like I mentioned, you want to be seen. If you're walking along the road and, you're hoping for help or whatever, it's a good idea. You also, sometimes want to be seen for another reason. If you're in a situation where you have law enforcement running in and you're running out, if you're wearing one of these, you're probably a little less likely to get shot. This will give your typical police officer a moment of pause before, pulling the trigger in the event that they see something like this. Most people who are running away from a crime are not wearing high visibility type clothing. So they'll look at you, they'll wait for a second, and, it might save your life. So I keep a high visibility vest. This is just another bandana and also one of these flexible face shields that you can use as a scarf, a face shield, head wrap, do-rag, or whatever. So I keep a couple of those. And that's it for the interior of the bag. Now, one of the nice features of this particular bag that I mentioned I would get to earlier is the exterior back pocket. The exterior back pocket, you can put a lot of different kinds of things. It's a flat back pocket, so you can probably put a laptop back here. It's padded. You can put, anything that isn't too bulky. The item that I keep back here, however, and this is specifically for the go bag purpose or the get home bag purpose, is a ballistic panel. This is a 3A ballistic panel. It is rated for, I think, pretty much any pistol caliber firearm. And in the event that you're in a situation where, you have who knows, some kind of civil unrest, a riot, something else that blocks your way, and that's the reason why you're on foot. If you need to get home and you're in a hostile environment, I'm not going to carry or wear a complete chest rig if I'm trying to stay low profile. So something like this is a fantastic item. And, when my kids were still in school, they had one of these in the backs of their packs. It's not inexpensive, but it can save your life. And this back pocket was specifically designed for this purpose. So that's a ballistic panel. This one is made by a company called this is Bullet Safe. The last item in the bag is a Silcott key. Some of you might be familiar with this. It's a tool that you use to open water spigots that you find on the exterior of commercial buildings. If you're in an urban environment and you need water, one way to get it is out of those spigots. If you've ever walked down the sidewalk and seen a spigot that's usually set into the side of a building, they typically don't have handles. The reason for that is because they don't want people stealing water or just opening up the water and leaving it open, for vandalism purposes, as people are wont to do. So those are typically closed with a special kind of bolt that can only be opened with one of these tools. You can get these in most hardware stores, plumbing supply stores, Big's box stores. You can get it on Amazon. They run you $5 or $6. It can be a lifesaver in a urban grid down situation. So Silcott key. Thank you very much for watching. Please like this video and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already done so. And please post all your questions and comments below. It helps the channel grow and we're very interested in your feedback. So build your own get home bag and get home safe.